is the Weigh-In Podcast by Benoit Chestnut and the occasional Papa Sebastian Romero. On this week's Weigh-In, nonetheless to disappoint, continuing the role of the Weigh-In, we're going to talk about UFC 326 because it didn't disappoint, for me at least. It didn't disappoint in terms of an event, but in terms of some of what happened. Yeah. Amidst that, that's the kind of, and whatever else comes up in the time of recording, y'all already know. So with that being said, that is this week's weigh-in. So we jump right into this one. First and foremost, that UFC, huh? We ready. So I'll run you down from the prelims because I cared more about the main card, but I'll run you down from the prelims so you can understand. Jesus Aguilar lost to Sue Madonna Raru. Rafael Tobias lost to Dayar Gosa Hayes. Luke Fernandez lost to Rafaeldo Bellato. And that was all for the early prelims. Now, the preliminary card, this is what I was most excited about is Cody Garbrandt. That was one that I was so interested in wanting to see. And that was one that really interested me so much. Good. To see Cody Garbrandt come back was just pretty cool. Looking pretty good nowadays, Cody Garbrandt's fighting style. So Cody Garbrandt beat Long XCO. Dante Johnson beat Cody Bundich. Ricky Turcos lost to Alberto Montes. Cody Duran lost to Naeem Jemgal. I'm going to have to look this one up. I have never heard this one. I'm going to look this one up for y'all because it's getting to me. These names wrong. It's getting to me. Let's see what I could get out of this for y'all. See what I get for you. See what I could get for you. Niam Drago. All right. Niam Drago Tumindamber. Niam Drago Tumindamber beat Cody Duran. There we go. I'll try. Now let's get to this main card here. We're gonna run through this kind of rather quickly. Gregory Rodriguez at a TKO over Bruno Ferreira. Drew Dauber beat Michael Johnson by TKO. That really surprised me, Rob Font lost to Raul Rosa Jr. Sorry. Carlio Borrelio defeated Renier D. Ryder. And the biggest one of all, which I really thought, Charles Oliveira beat Max Holloway. So, UFC 326, my bad, is a success. Now, if everybody else doesn't know, this is for all the So after all the things we got, so if you don't know the UFC, I know a lot of people did not like the idea. They The UFC White House card is kind of, it's released at this point, and hey, they got Bo Nickel on the card, so I'm already excited. And then you got Diego Lopez on the card, and I'm still excited. And then you got Michael Chandler on the card. Although everybody wanted Chandler McGregor, I don't think it was gonna happen. But to see Michael Chandler still on the card, I like it. You got Sean O'Malley on the card, I like it. You got Alex Pereira on the card, and you got Ilya Topore against Justin Gaethje on the card as I believe. Oh no, that's yeah, that's the main Topore Gaethje. So it's not a huge card with a bunch of prelims. They kind of kept it small, and because obviously you're going to be on the White House lawn, and obviously, oh no, they do say there's prelims. They just haven't got them up yet. Oh no, they do say there's prelims. It says prelims start at 4 p.m. and the main card will start at 6 p.m. But my point here to get you into why I brought up this UFC White House card is because we've heard some stuff about that the UFC has got a huge bill to repair the White House lawn after all the, I think it's stakes or whatever the case may be put in the ground. They got to repair the lawn after that in a huge billing, but it's something that's going to happen. You know, this is great. You know, in terms of taking all the other things surrounding the event out of it and saying this is just a UFC card right in front of the White House, like on the White House lawn, like that is like think of this as just only the beginning, and we can start seeing maybe basketball on the White House lawn if they, whatever the case may be, setting more events. Basketball just is analogy of an event, or just a an idea of an event. So many more things could be set up on the White House lawn. You know, I wouldn't be surprised given the nature of the other stuff surrounding it, if I wouldn't be surprised to see a good old wrestling duel meet on the White House lawn. I wouldn't be surprised. A lot of people might not agree with me on that, but I wouldn't be surprised. Just to understand, I wouldn't be surprised to see something of that nature on the White House lawn. I just really wouldn't. So you know, but nonetheless, a really good card that we're gonna see. So it's gonna be it's gonna be really good. I like it. I'm not against it. So it's gonna look good. It's gonna look good. I think it says Sunday, June 14th. June 14th. So if y'all have not got yourselves up to board on that, be ready. UFC, White House. So let's see. Let's see. So it, what we got for you is Dana White is paying $700,000 plus to replace the loan after having this fight. Wow. But it's nonetheless about that. I think a bulk of the money is going to be made here in the fans watching, which if many of you don't know, it's not really going to be a public, more or less a public. fanfare. I don't believe. I think it's going to be more of a private thing, and that's not a bad idea. So even if it's not going to be a lot of people, so it's not going to be a lot of fans in person because I think a lot of what I'm able to find is they want to reserve a lot of that for military personnel and all of that. So at that point, there's nothing wrong with that in terms of the card. So that's I don't see that as a bad thing in any way, shape, or form. I think this is great all around. How many more events will we see on the White House? For everything being said, but it's really good. It's really good in terms of no matter how you draw it. I think I like it either way. The UFC White House, man. I think it's going to be good. Amidst what everybody else likes to tell me that no, no, it will not. A lot of people don't like it, but a lot of people don't like it for the political nature of what goes on. But as you know, on the way in, we don't really talk political. That's a separate channel via uh via the partner that does all that political stuff. For us on the way in, we try to keep that out of our pod right now because we've already got enough stuff to worry about as far as what goes on in UFC and boxing as much as we can get. And then we got Zuffer boxing off the ground, and so actually Zuffer boxing really did some good stuff. I I'm pretty sure I saw something about Zuffer boxing. Let's see what Zuffer boxing said. Between March 7th and 8th, Jai Epetier dominated Brandon Glatton to become the Zuffer boxing champion. So we got that. So we got Zuffer boxing. So if you're on the Zuffa boxing promotion, they have a belt for that too, which it looks pretty sick. I like it. It's not bad. The Zuffa boxing belt. You look, as y'all know, I got my belts in the background. But you know what? You know what I don't have yet, and I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it, y'all. I need a UFC belt, and now I'm gonna need that Zuffa boxing belt, y'all. I'm gonna need that Zuffa boxing belt. I'm gonna try to get like all the major UFC promotions. I know. I saw at one point. I gotta so I can get a Bellator belt. Somebody is can make a Bellator belt. Y'all understand? These is all just replicas, man. They are not. They are not like they replica belts. No way, shape, form, or they the real Young John because you could see. I know what the real belts look like, and when I look at mine, I know what's not real about them. But at the same time, it for me, it's the aesthetic to have those back there. Um, but I like them, so they're nice belts. They're great belts. So I'm gonna get me my. I mean, in terms of like them UFCs, you can get replicas. I'm gonna get my replica UFC, and get that Zuffer boxing, and see when somebody starts a Zuffer boxing replica, get that done, and get me my UFCs. Because I mean, a lot of people have asked me this, and this year is more about improving the set, and the belts are like the last thing I'm worried about. A lot of people want what I like to call audio improvement, betterizing the set, and I will be. It's it's a we have a setup in the works, and we're slowly building that setup. And when that setup will be unveiled, we can't tell you when, because as it's still being worked out, the logistics on my end of what I kind of want to do and how I kind of want it to go, because you gotta you gotta get that done. But no, nonetheless, we will be improving sets. Um, oh wow, they do have a replica Zuffer boxing belt. They do sell it. Hmm. Huh. So we will we will definitely get us a Zuffer belt. We will for sure get us a Zuffer belt, y'all. So we're gonna definitely get some nice Zuffer. Oh, Zuffer boxing, y'all. We gonna see if we can get ourselves one, man. Wow. But no, that's just what I'm getting at. Just a little bit of UFC, a little bit of UFC White House talk, and just whatever. Like I, I really think I tried to make this a Tuesday chill episode. I know we've been going like hard on this UFC every weekend with the start of the year, and we're getting closer to NCAA's for wrestling. So I'm just kind of bringing you these chill little updates. I'm obviously it's about UFC, mostly UFC, but Zuffer Boxing came up, and but so that's one of those things where it's like, hey, it is what it is, kind of. Um, but I feel for you, so we talk about that and a lot of that and all that good stuff. This is that time where it's like, man, it's that it's all that good stuff. I think that's real good stuff. So as we're gonna try to make sure we improve them sets. So that's some good stuff. So that's gonna be some good stuff. That's some good stuff. So, and that's what I like about it. It's just a lot of good stuff, and for everybody, I think it's great. I don't think the UFC is bad, but I think a lot of sports can benefit from this White House thing, and I understand a lot of people say, well, not really, but yeah, everybody can't afford Dana to be like Dana White, spend almost $700,000 on replacing the lawn, but I wouldn't be surprised to start seeing other sports. I think a lot of that is just a lot of that's crazy. A lot of that is a lot of that stuff is how y'all know how it is. It's up there. It's up there. It's crazy. It's a lot of stuff that I tell y'all. It gonna get done. A lot of that stuff is gonna be a lot of that stuff is gonna be good. Depending on how we see after the fact. I mean, after this White House event is over. That's what I mean. Because I think that's a good event already as it is. So I guess we'll see what comes of it. Um, what comes of after the facts, but they lined up a good card. I liked it. Lately we've had some good. I like how Suffer Boxing is going to have their own belt. So Duffer Boxing is going to have a belt that they have to obviously pass around. But I wonder, this is what I wonder, will it supersede, like WBA, WBC, WBO, and IBF? And what I mean by that, this is what I mean by that. I mean, if WBA, WBO, or whatever the case may be, WBA gives a mandatory challenger, does that mean that the Zuffer boxing belt is going to be put on hold till that challenger has been met for the WBA belt? So then they go after the fact, or it's questionable. Um, it's questionable to whether they will or will not. But the great thing would be if they could all get along. If they could all get along and Zuffer worked just right, then yeah, I think it would be a good thing. I think it'd be really good. I think that's something we have to say to ourselves is, I think that's something we have to ask ourselves is what is the what are we doing? Because I think if Zuffer can get along with all the other governed bodies on this, I think it'll be really cool. I really do. I really do think we'll have. So I really think it's going to be interesting, no matter how we draw it out. I think that'll be a great thing. I think we have to ask ourselves, So you got to ask yourself how simple. You really do. You got to ask yourself the simple simplicity of what goes on. If Zephyr can get along with everybody, then yeah, then we looking good. You know, that's the good that comes from it. The very good that'll come from all of this, and that's what you know we talk about in terms of everything. You want Zephyr to get along with. You want them all to get along. I think in terms of that, that's what I say. You want them all to get along. You know, you want them all to get along. That's kind of what I say. That's what I say. So that's what I say. That there's a lot of glory to come from. A lot of great to come from it. And that's one thing that I look and I say, yeah, I think that's like I said, I would love to see them all get along. I'd love to see them all get along because that's a really great thing. And I think in terms of that, I just don't want to see somebody not get along. I think is the word here. Now I can get it for all of you on this chill epi. I like to call it chill because it feels chill to me. This chill epi. I know that a lot of you are like, wow, this kind of was a bit too chill. Um, dang, I did not mean to do all that. But I just kind of kept this chill because it wasn't overly. There wasn't something overly, news overly hitting. Um, Amidst the fact that my weekend was focused on the women's wrestling national, which, if any of you don't know, I took that L and I lost by literal 2 points to the partner Sebastian. It In terms of that, I'm not even mad I lost, honestly. I already knew after the day one I was going to lose. I had two wrestlers that were already in the consolations, and that's when I said to myself, I'm not going to win this. I'm not, and I knew I wasn't because I had two wrestlers in the consolations. But also, like I said last year, I wanted to make this more fun for you, the fans. So it's not all the same thing every year. You say, oh, Benoit turns in. You say, oh, Chestnut turns into a Kel Sanderson. Team Chestnut turns into a Kel Sanderson. Well, no, it will not. That will not be the case this year. No, that will not be the case this year. I'll try to draft a better men's, but it looks like the overall. It's looking like I lost women's this year, so that was a tough one, literal by literal 2 points. But you have to understand, I had returning national champs that should have very well won. I had a good looking squad. On paper, the squad looked great. After day one, they wrestled great. The difference was they all started to get beat in the semis, and I'm like, no, it happens. But I hope you enjoyed. I mean, as much as what you could of that is getting to find out that it ain't gonna be no Kel Sanderson going on. It ain't gonna be no Kale, but amidst that, I thank you all. We're in the end of this chill epi. That's what I call it, a chill epi. I got you as a little chill epi. Talked a little UFC. We talked a little everything, honestly. Most UFC White House, and all this chill epi stuff. It's just get just what you might want to know, and you know, don't worry as we get closer to the good fights, good stuff, boxing wise too. We'll get better epis, but we're kind of in this like I like to call it, this NCAA. We're in the Wrestling Madness month, so it's gonna be, we're kind of pure. A lot of that focus is on the wrestling content, so we're gonna be trying to get that all focused out. So yeah, that's all I got for you today. So this is the weigh-in by Ben Rochestner and the occasional pop-in Sebastian Romero. Like, comment, subscribe, share, y'all, and that's all I got for you. Weigh-in out.
The way in where stories ignite.